Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, where I'm going to inspire and motivate you to show up for yourself. So, this week I'm absolutely loving, the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And I just got put on to her by my friend AC Brown. She was telling me how a lot of her work reminds her of BeFree Project, and I should really get into her. So I picked up the book from the library. It's so good that I ended up ordering it at half price books so I can have my own copy because I can tell there's a lot of highlighting and notes I want to take while I'm reading it. But I am in awe of this book, and I want to share a passage with you as well as a quote, and then I'll leave a link to the book in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. And again, as always, any book that I ever share on here, you can find it in my Amazon bookstore, and that link will always be in the show notes. All right, here's the passage that I want to share with you. In the affinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I see any resistance patterns within me only as something else to release. They have no power over me. I am the power in my world. I flow with the changes taking place in my life as best as I can. I approve of myself and the way I am changing. I am doing the best I can. Each day gets easier. I rejoice that I am in the rhythm and flow of my ever changing life. Today is a wonderful day. I choose to make it so. All is well in my world. And when I read this for the first time, it brought tears to my eyes because, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit in today's episode, that I'm in this space of releasing and changing. And I'm emotional. I'm really emotional right now. And so this passage just spoke so much life over me and gave me a sense of comfort that I'm doing the best that I can and everything is in flow just the way that it's supposed to be. And I approve myself. And that stands out because sometimes we're waiting for other people to give us approval or permission to be something or someone. And at the end of the day, all we have to do is approve ourselves. So I'm loving this book. There's so many gems in it. Seriously, if you're looking to change your life and heal your life, check this book out. I want to share another quote with you that I came across on Pinterest by Louise Hay. And I shared it on IG on my Be Free Project page. And it says, I choose to make the rest of my life the best of my life. And I really love that quote because it gives me, again, permission that I am choosing to live my best life. I define what that looks like for me. And right now, in the present moment, this is my best life. And all I have to do is keep showing up in the best way possible, and my life is going to get better and better. So that's what I'm loving this week. That's what I wanted to share with you. If you're reading it or you've read it, definitely let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. And feel free to always reach out to me on either my IG page, Be Free Project, or Girl Be Free Podcast, or shoot me an email at hello@befreeproject.com. All right, next up is the listener review of the week. And this actually came from Instagram. A young lady, her handle is event designed by B. She sent me a DM, which always makes me so happy. And she says, Hi, Siobhan. Just started listening to your podcast today and finished up the one titled Giving Up is Not an Option. Just wanted to send you a note saying thank you for putting your gift out into the world. I really needed that podcast this morning. Your motivating words were so helpful. So that makes me happy. Thank you so much for listening. As always, you guys can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can DM me on Instagram, letting me know your key takeaways and what you think of the podcast. And I would love to shout you out on a future episode. All right, today's message or today's topic is my year of growth and healing. And I know I shared at the top of the year that this was going to be my year of leaping, which it still is. And my phrase that I was living by was to be in flow. However, I had a birthday a few weeks ago, and as I was thinking about how I wanted to set the tone for the rest of the year, and I've been doing this for several years actually, like thinking about, okay, well, what do I want this year of my life to look like? And yes, I'm taking leaps in my business. Yes, I'm being in flow and moving and all that jazz. But as far as, I guess, my personal life, this is my year of growth and healing. And I honestly didn't get that to the day of my birthday. I was having a conversation with my coach, and we were kind of working through some things. And after the call was over, I said, that is it. This is my year where I'm going to have to grow more and I'm going to have to heal more. And, I talk about therapy a lot. And so I've been doing a lot of inner work. But as I'm working with my coach, I realize that there's more work to do. And we're working on life coaching and business coaching. So as I was, having that conversation with her and, thinking about, okay, this is going to be my year of growth and healing. And what I mean by that is I've been doing a lot of the inner work to really get to the best place possible for myself. But specifically what I have to heal, I guess where I need to heal a little bit more is the inner child in me because she is coming up, and I hope I don't cry, and I'm getting teary eyed right now. But she's coming up more and more as I'm doing this inner work. And what my coach told me is that I have to go back and I have to mother the inner child in me because the inner child has been hurt a lot. And sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. And I've shared this before. My childhood wasn't the greatest at all. And so I get these reminders occasionally of what it wasn't. And it shows up in my present day. And so a few years ago, my main thing is with my mother. And I reached out to her several years ago and let her know that I forgive her for everything that, had happened. I wasn't holding anything against her. And that still is a fact. Like, I definitely forgive her. However, someone sent me an email a few weeks ago. Yeah, about a few weeks ago. And she had heard me speak at an event. And she was just randomly reaching out to me. And I can't remember if I shared the story on here or not. And out of nowhere, she said, thank you so much for what you're doing. I love your work. I remember when I heard you speak, you talked about forgiving your mom. And I too am working on forgiveness. And one of the things that stood out to me, she said, um, forgiveness, something to the effect that forgiveness is ongoing and there's layers to it. And I'm paraphrasing, but she said there's layers to it. And the ultimate forgiveness is when you'll get to a space where you can embrace your mother and something else. I can't remember what else she said, but it really hit home for me. And it let me know that yes, the present day person I am today has forgiven my mother. The adult me has forgiven her, but the inner child is still crying out. And I didn't realize that until working with my coach. And I'm like, and showing and seeing how things were popping up in my business. Um, that, okay, the inner child still has some healing that needs to take place, right? And some forgiveness. And so when I say this is my year of growth and healing, it's specifically healing that inner child so that she knows that she's safe, that no one is going to harm her, and that she can trust people. And I will say that that has it's been quite an interesting experience. And so the areas of my life that I'm looking to grow the most is in my friendships, which, yeah, I can show up in a bigger and better way. I made mistakes and done some things, and I do see where there's levels where I can grow. My marriage, I can grow as a mother. I mean, I feel like anyone who's a parent, a friend, a wife, a partner, whatever, like I'm sure that we all can look at our life and see that there's spaces or areas where we can grow. And then also growing as an entrepreneur. I'm in this space now where I'm kind of doing an audit on my business and redoing some things and figuring out what is my soul's purpose? What is my soul work? And how do I want to show up in my business? And again, I'm going to tell you, this is not easy work. It's not at all. And then, as far as the healing goes, like letting go of the thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me and the pain that has been suppressed, like really dealing with that. And I was having a conversation, or I was teaching in my Master Your Mind boot camp last night because one of the ladies mentioned how, it's tough to go back and deal with the stuff that has caused you pain. And my response to that, yes, it's tough. Yeah, of course, it's not going to be easy, but think about how you're going to feel when you get to the other side of it. Because it's tough if you carry that pain year after year after year. But think about the beautiful space you're going to be in as you deal and you heal with it, and how much better you're going to be for every person that's connected to you in your life. And so I've suppressed pain for a long time. And yes, I've, went to therapy and I dealt with a lot of stuff. But what I'm learning is that there's layers to this. And so when you've been through trauma, sometimes, you'll heal in a certain area, but then other things will come up in another area, and you have to heal that part of yourself. And so that's where I'm at. And it's not easy, but what I keep telling myself, again, this is my year of growth and healing. And when I get to the retreat, like towards the end of this year, when I get to the Girl Be Free retreat, because of all of the inner work that I'm doing, I am going to feel so much lighter, so much freer. And women from this point on is going to be able to experience a different level of me because I've done the inner work and I'm healing, that I'm going to show up in a bigger and brighter way. Like my light is going to shine even brighter because I've healed some things in my life that I need to work on. And so there has been, excuse me, a lot of tears. I've been crying a lot, and just processing. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know, like, I mean, yeah, we hear about the inner child, but I've never really taken time to really tap into that part of me. So again, been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of processing of my thoughts and my emotions. I've been journaling a lot. I've been vulnerable, so sharing my story a little bit more and unpacking some things. And if you've been reading my newsletters, following me on social, you'll be able to see the transparency. I've been having some very honest conversations with close friends of mine, letting them know what I'm going through, talking to my husband a little bit more. Um, of course, working with my coach with this, openly sharing. And that's not always easy for me. I'm an only child with my mom. And so I grew up keeping everything bottled up inside. But now I'm in this space where I realize that doesn't serve me. And that in order to release the shame and guilt, you have to share it. Otherwise, I know, I would just say for me, otherwise, it will hurt me so much inside, like feel like you're dying inside when you're keeping all of that to yourself. So you got to let that shame go. I've been honest with myself, like you're not okay right now, and that's okay. This is affecting you, and you need to kind of process and deal with it. I've been more self aware as well. And I feel like that inner voice, because I'm more self aware, I can hear the inner voice a little bit louder. Like Oprah calls it a whisper, but I feel like it's getting a little bit louder where I am listening to it, I'm paying attention to it, and acting on it. And then lastly, I'm trusting people to hold space for me. Like the people that I have in my life, my tribe, they love me. They genuinely love me and they care for me and they allow me space to be me. And I have to trust them because they've already made it evident like they're not here to hurt me or anything like that. I have to trust them that it's okay for me to open up and I'm not being a burden. But the more that I talk about certain things as I'm processing and healing, the more they make space for me and show their love. So I'll give you another example because y'all know I love telling stories. But a few weeks ago, I was at an event that was hosted by Courtney. Courtney covers Cleveland, and I was invited to the event. A great experience. So many beautiful, wonderful women in the room. And so while it was like ladies' night. And so we're engaging, having conversation, all that jazz. So I'm talking with the ladies at my table. So by the end of the event, there was questions on each table, and you had to pull a question and like discuss it with your group. And so the host asked if anyone would like to share their question with the audience. And so I shared a question that was on my table. The next table, the lady stands up and she says, my question was, what would you say to your 15-year-old self? And let me just say, earlier that day, I had a coaching session with my coach, and we talked about, doing the work and mothering the inner child. I had written a letter right before that event, like early that afternoon. I had written a letter to my 15-year-old self and just telling her she was safe. Just really speaking to the inner child in me. So when that question came up, I was like, oh my goodness. All right. And so the lady who asked the question, she responded. And so the host said, does anyone else want to respond to that question? And I put my hand up because I felt like in that moment I had to do this. And so I stand up and I tell the young lady, I said, you may think you read that question for you. I said, but you really read it for me. I said, because earlier this day, I wrote a letter to my 15-year-old self. And I kind of shared some of the things that I had written. And I said to stand up in front of this room of women. I only knew a good 10% of them, and it was about 40 or so women in the room. And I said, I feel so free and so liberated that I can stand here in front of this room of basically women I do not know, let you know about, what I had written earlier in my journal and how I'm doing the inner work and so that I can show up and be the best version of myself. And I'm just so grateful that I am in this space where I'm able to hear that inner voice that said to me, you need to stand up and say something. And then I acted on it. And that was it. And I sat down and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what you've been talking about with your coach, talking to your coach about. Afterwards, ladies came up to me and they thanked me for what I had shared and was, all this jazz. And I'm like, wow. And so I get home. Actually, that next morning, I send a message to my coach and I said, I have to tell you about this experience. And so I shared with her what happened. And when we got on the call later on that week, she was like, I'm so proud of you. And this is what I know for sure. God sees me and God wants to know, am I really going to show up and do the work? And I have to say, I'm so committed to my journey and BeFree project and walking and living in my purpose. I'm not just talking about stuff, like I am truly living it. And I act really quickly. So, and God is moving quickly, I tell you that. And I know that, as quickly as I show up, God is going to continue to put me in positions where I can prove to myself that I'm ready. And that as I continue to heal, I'm attracting more women who need to hear the words that come out of my mouth, who need to experience my healing. And so I'm not doing this work just for the sake of doing it. I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my husband. I'm doing it for my children. And I'm doing it for BeFree Project and everybody connected to it. And when I made this year my year of growth and healing, I had no idea that I would be put in these positions where I'm going to be challenged. And this is just the beginning. I mean, my birthday was just a few weeks ago, but I am so glad that I'm doing the work. And already I find myself speaking to the inner child in me much more. I'm noticing how she's showing up in different ways and just really comforting that part of myself. And so that is what I have this week. And I want to encourage you on this journey, on this path of being free and living your best life. You are worth it. You are great. You are amazing. Give yourself credit for all of the things that you've done thus far. My coach keeps telling me, and so I'm telling other people, to be kind and to give yourself grace. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm learning to be more kind to myself. And so the more that I discover, the more I'll share on the podcast because y'all are my BFFs, my Be Free family. And I hope by sharing that I am encouraging and inspiring other women to show up for themselves. So this week, your action step is decide what you want the next 365 days to be about. What will you focus on to better your life? So just take time to journal about that. You don't have to wait until your birthday to set the tone for the year. Like every day that you're breathing, right? You get another chance. And so you can start today, like, or, whatever. Think about what do you want the next year of your life to look like? How do you need to heal? What do you need to process? And just take time to write about that. Next up, I want to highlight dope women doing dope things. And this week, I am shouting out my friend Yaya. She goes by the Feminine Success on IG, and she just launched her new book, which is called The Feminine Success Book. And it's an interactive experience that gives tangible tools for creating the life you love while having more time, energy, and resources to actually love it. So I am so proud of her. I met her. We've been following each other on IG for a while, and I met her in real life in New Orleans last year. She treated me to dinner, which was oh so sweet. And we've been connected and just engaging with one another. So I'm really, really, really excited about her and her new book that she has out. I will leave a link to the book in the show notes so you can take a look. And it says this book was written to give smart, successful, faith-filled women a plan of action to shine in your purpose, cultivate your peace, and master your feminine influence in the truest sense. So definitely check that out. Again, a link will be in my show notes. Finally, some events that I want to let you know about. We are having a workshop in the Be Free Inner Circle called Let's Talk About Fear. It's happening tomorrow, Thursday, August 18th. And the women or the members in the group had some really good questions that they wanted me to talk about. So I'll be doing that workshop tomorrow at 7:30, I think 7 o'clock p.m. or 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join the Be Free Inner Circle at BeFreeInnerCircle.com to learn more. If you don't catch it live, you can always catch the replay. What I'm most excited about that I'm just like on a natural high is that it's official. The Girl Be Free retreat is now available to all. We will be, or I will be hosting this retreat in Paradise Valley, Arizona, October 10th through the 13th. And now is the time to secure your deposit or secure your space by paying your deposit by May 5th, 2019. And it is going to be quite an experience that I am just in awe of. I've been waiting to announce this, and now it's real. Now it's ready. It is an intimate 3 night experience for women to have real conversations and make real connections. Some of the things that you can look forward to is 3 nights in Paradise Valley, Arizona, 4 days, 3 nights, complimentary breakfast and light lunches, soul filled swag bags, the official girls' night slumber party, a release ceremony reception, a guided circle hosted by Denise Sumbry from the Positive Life Haven, and curated activities and guided practices to set your mind, body, and spirit free. And I remember this October of last year is I announced it to a room full of women. And when I told them that the Girl Be Free retreat was happening in 2019, the room filled with excitement and cheer. And so now that it's here, I am just like so excited that I'm going to get to host an intimate group of women and teach you what it really means to be free and live your best life. And I'm hosting this retreat not just for the sake of hosting it, but my community asks for it. And so here I am showing up and creating this experience because my audience said, I want you to have a retreat. So you can go to girlbefreeretreat.com. The link is in the show notes to learn more, to secure your spot, get your girls together. It is going to be an amazing weekend experience with myself, with Denise Sumbry from the Positive Life Haven, and the BeFree family, our BFFs, all together in one beautiful vacation home to cultivate this life that we deserve and want to live. And we're going to learn how to do it with one another. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter where you'll get all the information. It just takes the Girl Be Free podcast to another level. So make sure you subscribe. The link is in the show notes for that. And or you can go to befreeproject.com/newsletter, but you'll find that link in the show notes. Connect with me on IG at BeFree Project or the Girl Be Free podcast page. And every week you'll find me on the Be Free Project page having Be Free chats where we take the podcast even further and I can answer your questions live and we can engage and all that jazz. I am moving the time up to the lunch hour, so I'll let you know specifically that time next week, or make sure you're on my newsletter list and you'll get the time in there. But I was doing it in the evening. That wasn't really working best for my schedule, so I'm moving it to the lunch hour sometime between 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But definitely subscribe to my newsletter or follow me on IG so that way you know for sure. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And until next time, girl, be free.